to Daily 5 for Tuesday, April 22nd, 2025. I came across an article over on Aftermath titled, well, I'm going to try to remember this correctly, "The labor that goes into making anime is often overlooked, but it shouldn't be." Now, that's a very weighty title, but I think it's one that deserves every word in it, because this is something I was discussing with my wife the other day. My wife has no interest in animation. She just doesn't. I'm certainly, when she was younger, she saw Disney films, that type of thing, but she has lost any interest in that as an adult. She basically can't look at something that is a cartoon, or what she thinks is a cartoon, and not see it as a cartoon. I don't say this as a criticism. Many people have that block. I just don't happen to be one of them. So, of course, I love animation. I've talked about some of my favorite films of all time are classic anime features such as Akira and Ghost in the Shell. And one of the reasons that I so enjoy them, beyond their stories and everything else, is because I'm aware of the labor that goes into them. Something that I do think that even if people don't necessarily watch animation, they still, even if they do, don't necessarily always have the appreciation of, because it's very easy to not see it. It's somewhat of an invisible art unless you actually know anything about how animation is done or have ever seen animators. I got very lucky when I was fairly young. I don't remember where it was. I'm pretty sure had to have been Disney World, because I'm pretty sure it was Disney animators. There was a tour you could take where you would actually see how, and this is back when it was still mostly hand-done animation, you would see how animators were creating the different artwork for the animated features they were working on. And if you can go on YouTube and find this stuff easily now, but I very quickly got a sense of, wow, this is an extremely tedious and tough job to do for a long amount of time, because you're doing the thing that is so interesting about animation, especially hand-done, but I imagine there's some component of this with some versions of computer, but specifically hand-done animation, is to make it look its best takes so much exponentially additional work. That's not good English, sorry. It takes such an exponential multiplication, is that correct? I think so, of work compared to animation that is shoddier looking. And it's something that you see right away. Even people who don't watch a lot of this stuff, if you were to show them kind of a lower, cheaper budgeted animation, like a minute of it, and then show them something that was produced with a lot more effort and money, they would be able to detect a difference, even if they didn't appreciate the art form in general. Because there's a stutteriness. There's a number of problems that come up when you do cheaper animation. Lando and I have talked about with the Ghost in the Shell standalone complex series, the animation quality could vary wildly. And that's because it wasn't a consistent effort across the same team all the time with as much time and money as they needed. Whereas if you look at the Ghost in the Shell film, it is still one of the most spectacularly beautiful pieces of art that you could ever hope to see in your life when you understand the effort that went into making that. Akira, even more so. Akira is the gold standard for me, because it is so impossible to understand how amazing that movie is without the understanding of how the animation was done. And it is a shame that it isn't something that more people are aware of, because even if you don't necessarily like animation, there is a respect that has to go into that when it's done well, because there is a recognition of the amount of effort and work. And unfortunately, as this article points out, it burns a lot of people out, and they end up just not being able to do it for very long. And that's a shame, because it is one of these art forms that there just is nothing else like it. I mean, I remember I thought for a while, maybe I'll try to be an animator. And I tried it on a very, very small scale and realized I do not have the skill for this. I don't have the patience. I don't have the talent. And I would never stick with it. For people who do that, to be able to produce what they produce is amazing. It is a borderline miracle when you look at some of the finer examples of animation and understand what went on to get that thing produced. It is marvelous. And I'm going to link to this article. You should absolutely read it, because it is 100% right that this is an art form that has been basically sidelined, because a lot of people look at it as kids stuff when it absolutely is not. And even if it was all children's features, that does not in any way discount the amount of talent, effort, and honestly burnout that is involved to get these things made. So an excellent article. I totally agree with it. And animation, one of the most underappreciated art forms there is, and that is truly a shame. Later.